Hi there, I'm Scott, and this is GreatScott Knitting, a vlog podcast thingy here on YouTube, and this is episode 26. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate that. And if you are new to this podcast, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy what you find here. Today is Saturday, July 10th of 2021. And here in Wichita, Kansas, it remains very hot and humid. Well, very hot, maybe not so much. It's like 88 today, but with like a 62% humidity, which is a little excessive on the humidity side. Not as high as it sometimes can be. Like this morning, it rained like for like 10 minutes. And then it got up into the 80s, and of course it felt like a sauna outside. It was absolutely breathtaking because you couldn't breathe. The air was like a blanket, a seriously wet blanket. Yeah, so welcome to summertime in South Central Kansas. Yeah, cool. So welcome. It has been a busy 2 weeks. So lots to talk about. So because it is so hot, it is a nice Saturday afternoon. I'm going to have my little LaCroix water. So if you have a beverage of your choice, please go grab it. Crack that puppy open and let's sit down and talk about the crazy stuff that's been going on in my world. And I'll share with you some of my fibery stuff. Today was kind of a busy day around the fibery world of things. So, where to start? Oh, housekeeping. There is a knit-along going on. Actually, there's a lot of knit-alongs going on, but there's a little knit-along going on here, which is my GreatScott Knitting knit-along, crochet-along, craft-along of 2021. That started back on Memorial Day. It will be ending on July 31st. I have a calendar right over here. So it'll be ending on July 31st, which is just in a couple weeks, but there's plenty of time to crank out a shawl. So here's the deal on this knit-along. It's Choose a Pattern by Josh Ryks-Robinsky. Simply log onto his Ravelry page to find all of his patterns. They're really quite lovely. I will have a link to his Ravelry page in the show notes below. As I've mentioned before, I think he's an absolutely brilliant designer, especially with different colorwork shawls that are very geometric and have some different techniques and things in it. But not as much a commitment as, say, a Stephen West shawlette or a Stephen West schlanket, I should say. So you don't have to buy like a ton of yarn, just a couple of skeins, some maybe 3, and maybe find something in your stash already. Throw those together into a shawl. I bet it'll look great. So, yeah, there's that. So crocheters, if you want to play along, I'd be happy to see you produce something. Something to, 1, 2, 3 colors, I don't care. Throw something together, put it under my hashtag on Instagram of GreatScott Knitting, KAL 2021. Oh, I hate it when people say that. It's 2021, isn't it? Yeah. So GreatScott Knitting, KAL 2021. Or on my Ravelry page for GreatScott Knitting. I will put links I'll put the hashtag in the notes below and maybe somewhere like right along here. And I will also put a link to the GreatScott Knitting podcast group community on Ravelry just to see if anybody posts anything there. Right now it's been pretty quiet. What will you get for having played along? Well, at the end of this, I'll have a random drawing for anyone who posts a finished object of for some hand-dyed skeins of yarn from yours truly. And that will be probably right before, excuse me, a little coffee thing. Probably right before I start selling some yarn. I'm hoping for late August. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's the big plan. Hope you're playing along. I've seen a few of you out there that have, so that's great. And you're going to see another finished object from me coming up right about now. Because the only thing I have finished is something, my second object for this knit along, which is another Thrive shawl. Okay, so hang on, I've got to pause. I'll be right back. Okay, are we back? Okay, yeah, we're actually back this time. So for you, it was like no time whatsoever. For me, it was about 2 minutes. So if you recall, ta-da, this Thrive shawl from a couple weeks ago that I had finished. This was the first item that I had, or that this was my intended pattern for this knit along, which was the Thrive shawl by Josh Ryks-Robinsky. Absolutely love it. It's a beautiful shawl. And I had purchased this yarn for this shawl about a month before at a local yarn shop. And then I got into knitting it and I was like, ooh, well, not ooh, but the contrast of the yarn colors could be a little better. It's still pretty. It's still a beautiful shawl. I still love how it knit up. All of the colors look so lovely together. But I wasn't blown out of the water by it. So I finally pulled the trigger on buying some yarn from Blue Fiber Company. Mr. Stein out of, I think it's Seattle. And he specializes in a proprietary blend of cashmere and merino. Here's his logo right here. Blue Fiber Company. And he has this absolutely gorgeous cashmere merino blend, which is 80% superwash merino wool and 20% cashmere. And I got 3 skeins of yarn, DK weight, so it's this DK weighted cashmere merino. Very lofty, very, very, oh my god, it's so soft and luxurious. So I cast on another Thrive shawl with his yarns, and oh lordy, look at that. Oh, I'm just, like, I'm in awe. The colors are so gorgeous, the softness and the drape and everything about this yarn is just absolutely yummy. You want to wear it next to your skin. And this is the DK, and it's just, I love this. I absolutely love this shawl. It's too warm to wear it right now because it's a DK weight shawl. So, but feels so good. It does. It just feels so soft. It is one thing that I wish I could share with you is how good this feels against the skin. And the colors are pretty true. And yeah, they're absolutely beautiful. The colors are, this is called Calcutta or something, not Calcutta. Calcutta. This one here is called Lugh or Luge, Lugh. I have no idea how to pronounce it. And then this one is Umber. Not raw, not burnt. Actually, right in the middle. No, just kidding. It's called Umber. Absolutely. These flow together so nicely. So pretty. So gorgeous. I just... my heart has a little beat for this, and it works so well in this pattern. The pattern is absolutely a joy to knit. It has some lovely slip stitch section, has these lovely, gorgeous, great big eyelet holes, which I think are so much fun. There's some short row work to create the chevrons, which makes it fun. And then there's that final little stripey thing at the end with this chevron-y stuff going on. So love this shawl. So I got this done not too long ago. So yeah, I've been enjoying this one immensely. If you have a chance to get any of his yarn from Blue Fiber Company, do. You will be glad you did. It feels so good. Ah, cool. So, what are we working on? Okay, so I'm kind of slow on the sock business. I have had a goal, and I'm off my goal right now, of knitting one pair of socks per month. Well, June has flown by, and I don't even have the first June sock finished. It's a very busy pattern, and it is crazy. But I love how it flashes and does its thing. It's so much fun. The yarn is the Manos de Uruguay Alegría. Can you read all that? Yeah, there it is. Ching. And the colorway is called Cabaret, which, of course, for me, has a lot of lovely memories attached to it because of a club called Club Cabaret in Kansas City back in the day. Oh, look, in my handy-dandy bag that I'm carrying my June socks, I have some of my favorite treats. Necco wafers, whatever they're called. Love them. And most people hate them because they're like chalky and weird, but I adore them. I love them. I was so sad when they stopped producing them and the company went away. It's the same company that created the original conversation hearts at Valentine's Day. Same type of candy, only in a heart shape. I've never seen the conversation hearts again like this, that taste like these. Hopefully they'll start producing those again. I think they sold the company, and then the company that purchased them sold it again, and now Necco wafers are back. Maybe conversation hearts will be back this next in 2022. That'd be cool. All right, so I digress. That was the June socks. I do them toe up using the Sockmatician Toe Ups by Nathan Taylor. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with that. Oh yes, well, duh. My other work in progress, my whip du jour, is on the needles the Exploration Station by Stephen West. I'm knitting this up in my own hand-dyed yarn. It is an 80, what is this? It is, 100% BFL, 100% superwash BFL. Base is from Dyer Supplier, and it's dyed in food coloring, I believe, but it's kind of fun. Not exactly colors I would have automatically have picked, because I had just been playing around with dyeing and trying to get some different effects, and I don't know, I was okay with the colors, but then I started looking for colors to do everybody else is doing the Vertices Unite, which is a lovely pattern, I'm sure. I've never knitted it. I really should, so that I can truly understand what I'm missing or not. But I decided to say, I don't have enough of this to go with one of those, so I threw together another exploration station. I've done the pattern before. It's been a while back, about a couple years. So I love it. I love the swoopy wedges. And of course, I love great big eyelet holes. I used to, when I was big into lace knitting, probably for about 5 years. I was big into lace knitting, doing lace shawls, and I was all about the dainty holes and the lightweight yarns, or sometimes even doing the lace pattern in a heavyweight yarn, but with giant needles to get the same effect. But I was never a big fan of the double yarn over kind of big hole effect. And then I did Stephen West's, oh gosh, what is that pattern called? It's very similar to this. But anyway, I did a Stephen West pattern that had those lovely holes that occur at, at these short row return points, so that the hole is accentuated, and I just started to love it because it creates this lovely holed pattern. So I started doing that, and then I tried out the exploration station, and it is my first foray into the brioche, and actually kind of being successful at the brioche. Here's the backside of that brioche with the orange versus the purple. So yeah, I'm not 100% of a huge fan of the brioche fabric. It seems really open to me, as opposed to being a good. It's not a dense fabric, at least in my estimation, and I'm not sure that I've experienced anybody else's brioche knitting, so I have no idea if I'm even doing it near correct. It looks good. It feels good. But I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan. I am and I'm not. Okay, I'll put it that way. I am a fan of it and I'm not a fan of it. And I'm not entirely sure why. So anyway, on this pattern, I have finished the brioche section, and now I'm into this little slip stitch section, which gives you this kind of a fun textury, colory type of work. It doesn't, with these color choices, that section isn't popping with the multicolor, or with the two colors, because the two colors are very, very similar in nature. It's the variegated colorway that I had. Let's see. It's kind of hard to tell. It looks gray here, and it's not gray. It's more pink, very pastel pink, and purples and blues. And then the color that section is being knit up with is this sort of peachy, orangey, well, almost pink. All the pinks are getting completely blown out on these colors. So it's these two that are coming together. There's not a huge amount of contrast. And so the slip stitch pattern is kind of lost. So if I were to do this again, I would probably rethink the order in which I placed my colors in the pattern, so that it would come up to this section and be a little more dramatic. That being said, I still think that this pattern is coming along lovely. I think the shawl is going to be really pretty, especially as I look at it on camera. I mean, I think it just kind of, I don't know, it kind of looks like Crayola coloring with the tonal effects of the yarn. So it's going to be kind of fun. I think it's going to look neat. So that's coming along. All right, so that's what I've had on the needles. I still have not cast on the Stained Shawl by Josh Ryks-Robinsky. That'll probably be in August, so that I'll actually get that cast on. But I do have some yarn that I dyed up specifically for that project, if you will remember. I have my sort of rainbow, red, blue, yellow, green, orange, variegated for the stained glass part, and then sort of this leaded grayish black for the leaded section. So that'll be cool. If I can get those puppies back up in my stash. All right, so that's what will be coming on later. So on to the next section, which is acquisitions. Which this week I'm calling, honey, I might have bought some yarn. So my spouse volunteers or has become involved with a local organization called the Wichita Animal Action League. They are a great organization that what they do is they have some pop-up stores at local malls that they sell used items and for their organization. And what their organization does is they take in abandoned dogs and cats and pets, and often will also take them from other rescue agencies that will euthanize after a period of time. And so they will take them in and foster them to different families and then get them adopted. So love this type of organization. I believe every animal that is born deserves a chance. But then again, I also believe that animals should be spayed and neutered to prevent unwanted animals being born and put out there. So that's what this organization does, is they take in unwanted animals and animals that are in danger of being euthanized so that they can foster them out and then get them adopted. So we become frequent visitors to their pop-up shops, which pop up in some of the local malls every couple of weeks. So we go visit what goods they have. We've donated goods to them as well. So the question is, what does this have to do with my acquisition? Well, this weekend, today actually, they held an event called the here it is. It's called the Stitch and Shop event. There it is. Oh, that's not what I thought it was. Oh, I didn't bring up the Stitch and Shop event logo. Either way, so it's the Stitch and Shop event. So it was held at a local store for sewing and fabric, because unfortunately Wichita does not have their own yarn shop. So they did this fiber event, and I guess they do it annually as a fundraiser. So they invited local indie dyers, of which apparently there are several in the Wichita area. So I knew of a couple that I was familiar with, and one that I had actually purchased yarn from. But there are actually 4 or 5, of which there were, I guess there were 5 here. I think there's a couple others that are out there. Not including me, of course. I don't consider myself an indie dyer at this point, but maybe in the future. So they were there, and basically they had their booths set up so that folks could come by and buy yarn from them, which is just absolutely great. I have not been to an event quite like this. I have been pretty. I have knitted for like almost 20 years, but in relative quiet obscurity. I have not really been a member of the fibery community at large. So being out and doing something like this is the first time I've ever really done that. I never really even visited the local yarn shops in Kansas City very often, mainly because I simply didn't have the funds for the natural fibers that they sold. So, yeah, so there's that. So now I do, and now I'm frequenting indie dyers and local yarn shops and getting really nice fiber. So I did some shopping there this morning at that event, as well as donated some funds to the Wichita Animal Action League organization. So yeah, I kind of went a little crazy. Not overly crazy, but marginally crazy. So first, folks, well, I'm gonna put it in there's no particular order. So actually, though, I'm gonna look them up so that I can share their website. Oh, wait, hang on. Do they have a website? Yes, they do. Okay, cool. I will then share first the website. Cool, there it is, the Amber Waves of Fiber. They have, luxurious fibers hand-dyed in the wheat state. That would be Kansas, for those of you who may not understand that. So let me go into the shop now here. She does some dyed to order, but you can see her colors are really pretty. So they've some really lovely dyeing work that they have. So so at her table, she had a set of skeins that were a one-of-a-kind batch of sort of a leave no dye behind batch of color work. And so she had this beautiful purple and pink, very pastel, very light color, and it kept calling to me. These are not my normal go-to colors. And she said, oh yeah, it was just some leftover dye I had that I threw together, and it was like, oh my god, these are so pretty, I'm going to keep them, or I'm going to put them out in my shop. And she's like, I almost wish I knew exactly how to reproduce it. She goes, I have an idea, but it's not, I don't specifically know particular. So pretty yarn. It is a one of a kind. It's on her simple sock base, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon yarn. So I will pop her particulars into the show notes for how to get a hold of her and the Amber Waves of Fiber dye works on Instagram, Facebook, and also her website. So please go check out her stuff. If you like what you see, throw an order out there. I definitely love supporting and promoting local artisans and especially local hand dyers for hand dyed yarns. Get this thing reskeined. Boop. So there it is. So that's Amber Waves of Fiber and her Simply sock. So that was one purchase. There are 800 grams of yarn, so 8 skeins that I picked up today. Don't do the math. Hush. If you do the math, that means my husband's probably going to do the math as well. Now, actually, full disclosure, I told him exactly what I purchased and how much I spent. And he was like, it's about damn time. And you're thinking, ooh, why don't I have that husband? See, I have a tendency of wanting to buy things for myself and not doing it. But then when he wants to buy things for himself, I'm always like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So it's just very strange about that. All right, second skein of yarn comes to us from the Terra Chroma Cult. So before I get into really showing that, let me see if I can find the website for Terra Chroma. Well, I can find her on Instagram. So that's where I find her. So one moment, I'll share that over so you can sort of see some of her work. Some really beautiful colors. And you see how it knits up. That's silly. So yeah, some just really beautiful stuff that she dyes up. She does have some bulkier bases, which a lot of indie dyers don't use, which makes it kind of fun because that gives you some additional options of doing some things. Oh, here's the event that I purchased all this stuff from, the Stitch and Shop at the Showing Center. It was today from 10 a.m. till 2, so that's been over for about an hour now. But I really think it's the first event that's gone on, at least locally, for the fiber world. So that's some of her stuff. So please go check her out. I picked up a skein of 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, fingering weight yarn. So I'll assume this is one of her basic sock weight skeins. It blows out a little bit. It's not quite that bright in the purples. They're a little more muted than, at least to my eyes, than the camera is giving them. But as you can see, very pretty. I think this is going to make an exceptionally gorgeous pair of socks. So I'm very, very excited and pleased about this skein of yarn. Really wants to be problematic. Oh well, good enough. So that's Terra Chroma Cult. Make sure you go check out Terra Chroma Cult at some point. See if you like the yarns that... There we go. Terra Chroma Cult. Poof. Check out her stuff. Again, I'll have her Instagram, and I'll see if I can find maybe her shop online as well, so you can go find a place to peruse her wares. And of course, 316 Dye Studio, who If you remember from a little ways back, I did a shawl out of the some 316 Dye Studio yarn. Um, it was her house fingering weight that I used before. This is her sock base yarn. Again, I'll pop her particulars down in the show notes, but I wanted to pick up something from her again because I really love her dye work, and she's just a wonderful person. But this is called lemongrass, so you can see the sort of the lemony aspect to it. It has some, I don't know if you can tell, the tonalities that are in it are greater than just greens and yellows. There's like some more reddish tones, warmer tones to it than just the greens and yellows. So again, I think this will make a really nice pair of socks. I'm thinking of doing some kind of pattern with a pair of socks like this, so that the colors are not that busy, so that a little patterned sock would really pop with this yarn. Poof! There it is. Again, maybe if I bring it back here, you can kind of get a better sense of that color. The addition, the 8515, of course, makes it a bit softer than some other sock yarns. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about one of the local dyers that I've actually followed somewhat regularly of late, and it's Coast to Coast Yarn Company. Coast to Coast Yarn Company. From what I understand, the reason it's called Coast to Coast is because she's lived on both coasts, even though she was born and raised here in South Central Kansas, and she has returned here with her family, and has set up her shop here and is calling it Coast to Coast. Oh, so let me see if I can find her world. There it is. Yay. So let me share this over to you. The Coast to Coast Yarn Company. I will make sure that I put links to her shop in the show notes below. Hand dyed in the Heartland is her logo. And so you can see the different sort of weights that she carries. And some of the colorways. Boy, it's not a lot of sock yarn. Looks like she needs to drop some. She does spinning fiber, sock yarn. Yeah, that's just what she has in stock. So she had a lot of stuff out there at the show this weekend. So maybe that's why there's just not a lot in the shop right now. So be sure to keep an eye on her shop because her stuff is really pretty. So I picked up her cashmere sock. So this is an MCN, merino, superwash merino, cashmere nylon. This colorway here is called Pearl, P-U-R-L. So it's kind of a slightly tonal. There's a bluish, I don't know, I can't describe the color because in different light, it definitely picks up, this exhibits different tones. When I first saw it, it seemed more sort of like a light blue. And then when I got it home, it looked gray. Now on camera here, it has sort of a purple tinge to it, or some warmer tones in there than just cool tones. So it kind of almost comes off violet, but it's certainly not a violet color in person. So Don't know. I don't know what to call this color, but it is really pretty. It's a nice tonal color for a neutral. And I wanted to say it was a cool neutral, but I'm beginning to wonder exactly what kind of neutral this puppy is. Because it almost does come off with some warmer tones. But so there's that one, and I got a brother to it, which is called Ruth and Bob, which is this blues and greens and some rusty colors. Whatever, when I look at it, it reminds me of a globe. The colors that you would see on a colored globe, the blues of the water, the greens of the forests, browns and tans of desert. So it looks like that kind of a globe of the world type of look to it. I don't know what inspires that Ruth and Bob name, but I can tell you it reminds me of a global map. But I think these two colors go nicely with each other. At least that's what I'm going to do with them. I'm going to put them together in some kind of a two-color shawl. That's my plan. Really loving this colorway. Actually, I love it even more now that I've unwrapped it. Didn't unwrap it at the store. But the more I look at it, the more I'm like, this is just too pretty. I just think it's a gorgeous skein of yarn. Lots of colors in it, lots of cool tones. So again, I think the Pearl and the Ruth and Bob go nicely with each other. Bring it back, maybe it makes more sense. I don't know. Okay, so there's those. Okay, and then the final one. It's a little warm. So I don't know if I want to call this the piece de resistance. In my terrible Frenchy sort of accent. Red Door Fibers is where this is from. All right, so my final acquisition that I want to share is from Red Door Fiber Studio. Oh, I did not really. Is she part of Ken Yarn? Really? Wait. Let me just make sure I have the right Red Door Fiber. This, I believe, is my Red Door Fiber, people. Just going to look at some individual pieces. Don't go away. Yes, this is the right place. Okay. So, my Red Door Fiber, it's by Donna Simpson. Here's the logo. She is local here to Wichita, and she specializes in silk and silk blends. So she has just some really beautiful colors, some nice tonals, some really nice variegateds, and some things that have a little bit of speckle going on, some washes of color. But as you can see, everything has this gorgeous silky sheen to it. Why? Because she dyes silk blended yarn. So she's a member of the Wichita Knitters Guild, of which I am also. And I have never met some of these people in person that I guild with, because I joined last year during the unfortunate year. And learned that she dyed yarn and did primarily silk. And so I was like, oh, that's nice, that's cool. And then I saw her today, and I was like, oh, that's right. You dye yarn and you have silk, and you do primarily silk. And then she led me to her prairie fingering yarn. Oh, and here's the Red Door Fiber logo, at least her Red Door Fiber logo. Hand-dyed luxury from our door to yours. And this prairie fingering is a 70% baby alpaca, 30% silk. Lord in heaven. Oh my God. I wish you could feel the yarn through here. It's not that bright. It's much more muted, as you can see back here. But the sheen, look at that. Look at that. It's almost like it sparkles. But it's just the silk and the cashmere, and it has a lovely halo to it, as you can kind of see. Oh my God. I cannot tell you how soft this yarn is. It is just unbelievable how soft it is. Okay, so this colorway I just showed you is called Kodiak, which is just this lovely tonal brown. Again, a little deeper than what the camera is showing, but you get the sense. And then I have two other skeins to pair with that. So that was the Kodiak. This is Avocado. Again, not quite as bright or blown out as you see there. It's much more, again, a bit more green, a little more muted green. But again, a nice variegated color, and again, just that sheen to it. It's just so nice. So there's that. That will be going with the, let me do this right. That will be going with the Kodiak, Avocado and Kodiak. And then one more skein. So this is for a 3-skein project. And you're going to say, oh, what are you going to pair? What are you going to knit with all this? Not a clue. No idea. All right, so here's how these two look together. All right, final piece. This one's called Corn Silk. Corn Silk. This really muted yellow tonal color, which again blows out terribly. But so let me get it up here so you can see that beautiful, beautiful color to this yarn. Again, on its own, it is not a color I think I would normally choose. But she had some knit samples of her cashmere silk base, using corn silk as one of the colors, and I just thought it looked so lovely. And then next to it was hanging the green, and then the brown was like down below, and I just saw these together, and I'm like, these want to be something. These guys want to play together. So these guys are going to be playing together in a shawl someday soon. I just love them. I just think they're just so gorgeous, and the feel of them is unbelievable. So yeah. yarny goodness stashed up today. Yeah, here it is. Womp. That's the most I've ever done in one haul of this type of fiber, of non-inexpensive fiber. Which the inexpensive fiber has its purpose, its place, and its reason for being, and I have used miles of acrylic Michaels and Joanne and Red Heart and you name it. I've used a lot of that yarn, but I did make a conscious effort about a year and a half ago to make a switch from acrylic and man-made fibers to natural fibers like cottons, linens, wool, alpaca, all those things that are natural and reoccurring in the real world. So that led me to realization that natural fibers are somewhat more expensive. And so, of course, that led me to dyeing my own yarn when I said, all right, I'm going to make that switch. Well, to make that switch affordable for me at the time was do it yourself, dye your own. So that's got me into dyeing, which leads to the fact that I do have a hope, plan, desire to drop a collection of yarn sometime in August. I'll keep you posted as to how that's going along. I have not dyed one gram, one aspect, one slivery, fibery feather of a yarn of any kind for at least 2 weeks. I've been needing to collect some additional utensils and things. Like I finally got my steamer pans, my full-size steamer pans, 4-inch deep, so I can do some high immersion or low immersion in those. So different dyeing techniques. I finally got a pot with a steamer basket and a pasta insert, so I can do speckles and then steam it. And so this is all dedicated dye equipment. And I finally also got my double burner so that I can dye outside or in my garage, especially during the summer. So got those things, so I'm gonna be going full steam ahead, hopefully this weekend, with some dyeing. Yeah, so that was the acquisitions. Whew, Lord in heaven. All right, so that's all for the fibery stuff. I hope you enjoyed all that, because Lord knows I did. Oh man, I needed to see other fibery people in the world, and so it was really nice to do that. So what else have I been up to over this past couple weeks? Well, let me tell you. Last weekend, the July 4th weekend, side note, my husband is a huge roller coaster fanatic, enthusiast, you name it. He loves roller coasters. It's been his passion all of his life. So he recently rejoined and then joined sort of as a family, the American Coaster Enthusiast Organization, otherwise known as ACE, who go around and they have regional events. And this past July 4th weekend was the West Texas Roundup event in the panhandle of West Texas. So we went down to West Texas, to Lubbock and Amarillo and Plainview, Texas, for this event, which basically is these different events across the country, basically organized around getting people from the ACE organization to go to a park. Sometimes they are big parks like your like a Cedar Point or Worlds of Fun or Dollywood, some of those bigger parks, or even a Six Flags park. Or sometimes they go to smaller parks, like we did this weekend. So um, we started off in West Texas, and this is a little bit of the drive down to West Texas. It was a really pretty drive. They've had lots of rain and goodiness there. And then we went from our first stop in terms of the business was at Joyland, which is in Lubbock, Texas. It's a small mom and pop park, which has some lovely rides in it. One of them, their main coaster is the Galaxy Coaster, which is but I can't tell you who the manufacturer was. That's not my job. It's sort of like one of those little figure eight type of coasters. You ride in. I think this has a 2-car train. Anyway, very fun coaster. I really enjoy these type. And here's some of that structure of that coaster at night. And of course, we had fireworks that night. So these are the fireworks for my July 4th weekend, which was a lot of fun. The next day, we went to Plainview, Texas, to the National Coaster. Wait, hang on. The National Roller Coaster Museum and Archive. That's the official name. It's in Plainview, Texas. It is a collection of roller coaster and amusement park memorabilia, as well as archives of documentation about different things. Here's one of their displays, which is a model of a working model. This is a working model roller coaster, and so in other words, there is actually a car that runs on this model using gravity. That's not a motorized model. So this is my husband's in the back there looking at it because he builds working model roller coasters, so he was extremely interested in this. Oh, didn't I have more? Oh, apparently not. Anyway, there's more pictures out there somewhere in the world about some of the things that I have done on this trip. We also went to Wonderland, Texas, or Wonderland Park in Amarillo, which was a lot of fun, and we rode the Texas Tornado, which is a looping roller coaster. They also have a couple other coasters there, but that's the only one I really cared about. Wonderland Park, also very, very nice, very lovely little park. So yeah, so that was a nice trip. We then came back through Oklahoma City, where we stopped at Frontier City, which is a Six Flags park. Very small. Again, it's a small sort of mom and pop type of park, but it is owned by Six Flags. Stopped there to run in real quickly and ride a couple of the coasters as we headed back to Wichita. So that was fun. It was a little trip. It was a little getaway, my first getaway in over a year and a half. So yeah, the last time I had gone out coaster riding with my husband was to SeaWorld in Texas, when they opened up one of their new roller coasters down there last February. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've been out to amusement parks. It was outside, wore my mask, went around people, but took it off on the rides. So it felt perfectly safe. I am way behind on podcasts because work has just been crazy. So just haven't had the time to watch. That being said, a couple of podcasts that I want to bring your attention to are Fiber Chats, and let me bring that up for you. Fiber Chats. This is the brainchild of Irina Shar. She is a knitter and podcaster now who likes to chat with other fiber artists from around the world about what they do and why they do it. And she's a very good interviewer. Her subjects are always fascinating. What I love is that she chooses just a lot of people that you might not think about. They're a little of the more lesser known knitters, designers, crocheters, fiber artists in the world out there, and she's bringing some attention to some of these folks. So it's really cool. So definitely check out Irina Shar at Fiber Chats. Again, links will be in the show notes. Another great one that I always watch is Cabin Boy Knits with Christopher and Jamie. They live up there in the woods of Canada, where they do a lot of natural dyeing. Jamie cooks. Jamie's also a big historian and likes to tell the background story of just about everything that they do, which is really kind of interesting. It's nice to have that background. So definitely go check out Cabin Boy Knits. They're also starting to do a lot of interviews with Canadian fiber artists, dyers, and bloggers. Knit 365 with Martin. He's from the UK. He has this lovely vlog podcast YouTube channel where he knits, he crochets, shares with us the trials and tribulations that he has sometimes as he's knitting, and also some of his other projects. He's a really, really fine knitter, and if you love a man with an accent, his is just wonderful. I watch often just to hear him talk. He's that much. But the thing is, he's also very interesting, and it can at times be very educational. Dramatic Knits. If you have never heard of the Dramatic Knits YouTube channel, or have ever heard of Leading Men Fiber Arts indie dyers, well, this is Steve of Leading Men Fiber Arts. He is a fiber artist, primarily knitter, but he also crochets, he needlepoints, there isn't much of a craft he doesn't involve himself with. And he and his husband have a dye studio and now a shop where they live, I believe, in Michigan somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where. But lovely channel. He used to podcast on a very regular basis. Now he only does it when he has something to show off because he is very busy. And after last year, kind of got burnt out with having a podcasting with really not having anything to show anybody. So you'll catch him when he finishes items, and he'll share those with us. And the yarns that they dye at Lady Man Fiber Arts are beautiful. Make sure you go check them out. I'll put all of that again in the show notes. And then finally, this week, I want to feature Pitchfork Fiber. And this is Hunter. Hunter is a knitter and fiber artist, as well as a newly hatched dyer. So he has a dye studio that he sells his wares on. And so, yeah, be sure and go check him out. He's a lot of fun. He's very energetic. And I have grown to really enjoy his podcast, and I really think his yarns are very beautiful, sometimes very highly colorful. He does different collections. And so he's in his summer collection, which I think is called Disco, is the inspiration of his summer collection. So be sure and check out his Disco collection of yarns on his Etsy shop. And so, yeah. That is that, as they say. So that's some of the podcasts that I watch that I enjoy, and I kind of want to let other people know. My phone's blowing up here, so it's telling me it's time to wrap this puppy up. So, thank you for watching. It is a joy to be able to come to you every other week to say hello and share with you some of the stuff that I'm working on, and the excitement I have around knitting and fiber and dyeing, and I hope that some of that comes through. I hope you enjoy this journey that I'm on and sharing a little bit in it. Please leave a comment in the notes below. Let me know what's going on in your world, and all that good stuff that you guys are up to. Again, hey, play along with the knit along if you can. I think you'll really enjoy Josh's patterns. Yeah, so there's all that. So I'll put my social media links in the notes below as well. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Ravelry, so be sure and check all those things out. So for another 2 weeks, may you have peace in your home and the fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Bye.